So when you think of Japanese handguns of World War II, you typically think of the Nambus, right? The baby Nambu, the Papa Nambu. But they also had the Type 94, which had an external sear.
Kijiro Nambu is one of several notable Japanese gun designers that we think of, particularly in the early part of the 20th century. He's designed several guns for the Japanese military going into the Second World War, particularly the Type 14 Nambu, which is the official sidearm of the Japanese military during the Second World War. But it's kind of a big gun. It's an officer's sidearm, and there are specialized roles that need something a little bit smaller. Notably, aircrew, tank crews, they need a sidearm, but they need it to be as compact as possible. So Nambu in the 1930s is tasked with designing a subcompact arm that we come to know of today as the Type 94.
The age of the semi-automatic handgun came into maturity with the C96 Brune handle. You know, the Bergmans and the Bayards and all that had all been, kind of worked out to where the C96 Brune handle Mauser, that's a clean, good-looking gun. And I think a lot of folks would say that the Luger, the P08 Luger, is possibly one of the most ergonomically beautiful, visually striking semi-automatics ever made. The Type 94 Japanese pistol is the opposite of all that. It is the ugliest, the foulest, the nastiest looking gun ever made in the 20th century.
It was a small pistol, chambered the same round as the Type 14, but even though it was a small pistol, it was, because of the cartridge and motor, it was not a blowback. It was delayed recoil action pistol. Size-wise, it wasn't bad. It was reliable. It had an unusual shaped grip, which a lot of people say makes it the ugliest pistol in the world. I can't disagree with that. There's maybe one or two other that are slightly uglier than this one, but not more so. Now, to be fair, I've shot the Type 94. I don't have very big hands. I find the grip very, very comfortable. I find it totally accessible, and I find the gun to be a reasonably reliable little pistol. The gun's big drawback, of course, is that exterior sear bar, in which things could happen. Bottom line is, the gun was not intended for general service anyway.
So in Japanese firearms pre-World War II, there's really two names. One is Arisaka, the other is Nambu. And General Kijiro Nambu came up with most of his country's small arms. And one of the last guns he designed was the Type 94 pistol. And it's probably the most awkward-looking handgun of the Second World War. If you put them all on a table, you'll just be like, what is that and what were you thinking? And what he was trying to do was to get as much as he could up above the hand so that it would have a fairly small grip. So this is a 6-shot gun, semi-automatic, fed from a detachable box magazine, and 8x22 Nambu. This was a pistol produced to the tune of about $70,000 for the Japanese military.
It can be a bit confusing because it no longer has a striker, and now it's got a firing pin, and it's got this locking system. And trying to take the pistol apart, I mean, most people who work on firearms have two hands. In order to get this one apart, it's best if you have a third hand in there, because you've got to hold all these parts together, and if it isn't done exactly right, you can really seriously damage the pistol, and especially the firing pin.
One of the salient points of the Type 94 is that it has an exposed sear bar on the left side of the frame. And it is absolutely possible, if you press on that sear bar when the gun is loaded, that it will go off. That is what has given it such a bad reputation. And that particular point alone has really caused many people to consider the Type 94 to be one of the worst pistols ever made, if not the worst. while it certainly isn't a great design, what people don't realize is that it takes a lot of pressure in order for that sear to go off. You've really got to be pushing in on the sear in order to set the gun off. And it's kind of recessed a little bit into the frame itself. The other thing too is it's got a manual safety. And if you have the safety engaged, then it's physically blocking the sear. So while it isn't the smartest design for a handgun that we've ever seen, certainly, it also isn't the super touchy, temperamental, dangerous object that people have come to believe it is.